Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're going to do a first impression of the new Disney card game Lorcana. It has just been announced, and also at the D23 Expo, they've shown off some cards that are going to be in the game. We obviously don't know how the rules work yet, but just looking at some of these cards, we get a kind of idea of what they're looking for, what they're doing, and just like what the art of the game is, which unfortunately for sometimes the art is make or break for just getting people in the game in the first place. But it's Disney, you know, they have a bunch of artists on hand, and it looks like they're putting a lot of time and effort into this, which is really silly just to see this pop out of pretty much nowhere and saying, hey, it's coming out in 6 months, we want a piece of this TCG pie. We saw how much, you know, the Pokemon and Magic cards are going up right now, so let's do the same with Disney, which we'll see how it goes. I'm fairly optimistic about it, and it's really cool just to see a new card game. And it's also by Ravensburg, which traditionally has made board games in the past, and I own some of their board games, but I don't know them as a card game, at least collectible card game kind of thing. So we're just going to go over some of the cards that dropped. I think pretty much all the cards that have dropped at the D23 Expo. Just some thoughts. Again, we don't know how these work, but we're just going to go right on into it. So the first card we have is this Captain Hook. So we see a couple things on here. So first we see what I would assume to be a cost in the top left here. Just has a 1. It also has a sort of symbol. I'm not sure if they have colors like they would in Magic and Pokemon. Honestly, this definitely looks like it leans more towards the Magic and Pokemon. Obviously, like a 1-drop that has a 1/2 stat line makes just sounds like a Magic card in itself. And then we also do have like the flavor text, of course. Like this really looks like an alt art Magic card in a lot of ways, but we see that it has a character name and then kind of like the flavor for which character it is as well. And then also it's a first edition, and I'm guessing it's a promo there too. Has a keyword and also some traits too. So it's Dreamborn, Villain, Pirate, Captain. And so I'm going to guess this is like 1 attack and 2 damage. We're going to see if it's just like Magic where you heal up at the start of your turn, or it just gets permanently damaged like you do kind of in Pokemon. Has an attack or just kind of a keyword challenge or 2. When challenging, this character gets +2. I'm assuming this will be attack, and from what I've kind of seen from the cards, I'm thinking this is more of like a blocker like mechanic. If you're kind of familiar to kind of like how Dragon Ball Super and Digimon does it, it's pretty much when you attack with something, you can use this to intercept the attack, and then if it's challenging, I'm going to assume it gets a 3/2. So it's a weak card for 1, but if it lets you like challenge stuff on your opponent's turn, I think that's kind of good. So that's just my thought. We also, I'm going to keep track of there's this diamond like shape in the bottom right here. I don't really know what it means, but we see different cards have different amount of them, and I wonder if it's something where you can use this card to generate like more of the whatever mana system in the top left. That's my guess. We'll see if that's any true for that. But we're going to go to the next card here, and it is the Elsa Snow Queen. So we see this is a 3-drop for a 2/3 stat line. Again, has its traits, and it also has a different symbol on the bottom left here. So I'm thinking that's kind of just how you can help identify which color the card is. So this looks like it's a purple. The other one looks like it's either like gray or black. Has a freeze, and it has what I can only assume is just a fancy hexagon version of like the Magic tap symbol. So but you just tap and then exert chosen opposing character, and it has it says like a keyword, but I think this is more just flavor for like how it is for like Pokemon. They just have like attack names for what they do, but you just care about what the actual effect is. But it says exert chosen opposing character, which I can only assume it means you just tap a card. It's right. So having a 3 cost, which then you can use to tap something that is like a higher cost than you can maybe be some good value, and it's a 2/3, which I don't know if that's any good, but that is it there. And again, we do see it does have 1 of these Magic diamonds in the bottom right. So interesting there. And we don't obviously know how, if this deck, or the big thing I'd like to know about this is how the kind of the mana system works, or how you generate resources to pay for cards, because obviously you have to do something like that, and we'll have to see what that looks like. But honestly, like these are I'd say very standard. I'd say these are very safe looking cards in the sense that based on how the game works, it doesn't look like it's reinventing any wheels, but just kind of trying to make their own wheel to kind of sell to people. So interesting there. And we'll go to this next one. So we have Cruella de Vil, miserable as usual. What is this, me? It's a 2-drop for 1/3. It has a flavor attack called You Will Be Sorry. When this character is challenged and banished, you may return the chosen character to the player's hand. I'm going to go out and assume that banished is the same thing as like being deleted, being KO'd, dying. I don't think Disney wants to use the big die word. I don't think they want to unalive anyone. So I think banished is just when they're banished from Lorcana, which means they're in the graveyard or the discard pile or something like that. That's my assumption. Banished is also just a keyword or just a place in most other card games, like almost like removed from play. So it's interesting to see that banish is the word they use here. But just based when this card is challenged and banished, which to me says when this card is blocked and gets KO'd, you can return the character to the player's hand. So it's a 1/3. It can just do some chips, and if they try to block it with something, then you can say, oh, it goes back into your hand. It looks like a really good kind of tempo card in that sense. So also it's green, or whatever symbol this means, and it doesn't have as many traits, and only one of these. I'm going to promise you we're going to see some cards with more diamonds than these guys, but interesting card there. Next up, we do have Robin Hood, and I really like this artwork, and I haven't really mentioned it yet, but Disney knows art, believe it or not. They own all of their own IPs, and then they make them look very good. And so I just from a sense of like, yeah, Disney's going to make some really good looking cards, and that's probably going to be the appeal for a lot of people. And I think honestly, like, no doubt they see like, man, people will buy all these Pokemon cards because they're cards that look good. We have lovable characters that people will buy images of anyways. Let's make them cards, and then let's make them super rare, and then people will pay for them. And that's probably what it is. But anyways, look at this Robin Hood here, unrivaled archer. It's blue, I suppose, or cyan. It's a 6-drop 4/4, which I don't know. Again, we don't know what the mana system is, but that seems a little under curve based on that. But it does have a couple effects. It has 2 diamonds. Dang it, we finally got there. We got 2 diamonds. Feed the Poor. When you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their hand than you, get to draw a card. And then Good Shot. During your turn, this character has evasive. They can challenge characters with evasive. So I don't exactly know if there has to be a keyword in Magic 4. I don't immediately know what it is, but it's kind of like a stealth like mechanic, where it's something that like you can only block if you have also evasive kind of thing. So this is something that you're able to swing into, and we don't know if this game has summoning sickness or how the life mechanic even works either, but it's we're halfway through this and these are very, very Magic the Gathering looking cards, and it's definitely getting a lot of inspiration from that. The only thing I will say is that it doesn't look like any of the mana or anything is restrictive to any color, which is interesting to see there. And it might be a case kind of like how we're seeing in the One Piece card game that's being developed by Bandai, where you can only have one color of card in your deck, and you have to do that, or there's some kind of like determination of how your deck building is that which causes the restriction, because I wouldn't think like just with all these cards having different colors like this that you can just slam all of them into your deck without any consequences. So we'll kind of see how that is. But next up we have this is I like this card. So this card existing means a lot to me, and specifically that they own their IP and they're not afraid to make their own like separate lore for it, which I think is really cool. So this is Rockstar Stitch, which unless the TV show had like a scene where he was a rock star, I think this is specifically for this card game they've made this. It has Shift 4, which you can pay for whatever the resource is to play this on top of one of your Stitch characters. So this and something like Dragon Ball is like an evolve skill, or just something that says like, oh, let's say you play a Stitch for 1 early in the game. Later you can say, all right, if it's still around, I can play this for 4 on top of it, and now it's 2 cheaper. I did have to expend like 1 earlier, but it's cheaper right now, which is really important. And Adoring Fans is its effect here. Whenever you play a character with a cost of 2 or less, you may exert it to draw a card, which I'm going to assume means you can just tap it to draw a card. And exert. So the exert to me means tap, which is kind of good. So I think this just means like if you just need some free cycle and you need to build the board at the same time, being able to play it, and then you get to tap a card or exert a card as this game's going to do it, you can do that. So I think that's, which to me also probably means that this game probably has summoning sickness, because again, this is looking more and more like a reskin of Magic, which is not a criticism, just an observation. But it's interesting, yeah, being able to get this. It's yellow. I don't know if that means anything, but that is what it is. It has 3 stars too, so that's cool. If I was to guess at this point in the video what these stars mean, I would assume that they could do something with your resources, or has something to do with if your opponent, like kind of like battle rewards and like Pokemon, if this thing dies, you lose 3 health or something like that. That's my assumption. It's either good or bad to have it, or no in between. But I would sooner guess that this means that you can use this. You can maybe like tap this and then you get to get 3 energy for something later, which is interesting. Or it just means when it dies, you take more damage, because you see it's just like it's going up depending on how much you have to pay for one of your guys. So I think that it correlates to that for sure. And then this is, I believe, the last card. So this is a Mickey Mouse. Oh no, there's one more after this, but this is Mickey Mouse. It's an 8-drop. Again, I love that the freedom to their art design and their character design and everything else. I think that's very cool to a card game like this, especially, again, Disney owns like a million things. Like we could have like a Marvel thing for sure. We can have like a Star Wars thing. Like they just own so much lore that they can make this kind of stuff. But it's an 8-drop 5/5 evasive. Only characters with evasive can challenge this character. So that means that if you swing in with it, your opponent better have their own copy of this or something else with evasive, or they can't block it and it can just go to your opponent's face. That's my assumption, which kind of like the Robin Hood is kind of nice to that. Obviously it's a 6 cost and it gets evasive and it's a 4/4, but it's only evasive during your turn, so you can't defend against other evasive things. So if you have one of these out and you try to swing with your Robin Hood, this would be able to challenge it using the words of this card game. But interesting there. This is a red card. And then lastly, we have 2 red cards. My goodness, here it is. A 9-drop Maleficent Monstrous Dragon 7/5 Dragonfire. When you play this card, you may banish chosen opposing character. So this just means you can play this big dragon and then you're able to pop something from your opponent. But something interesting too is that this only has 2 little diamonds for it. So I don't, you know, where Mickey had 4 and Stitch has 3. So I'd be really interested to know what these diamonds mean. I'm going to, again, if I was to make a hard guess, this is something that is based on, you can gain more resources off of like, what's the word they use? Exerting it. You can exert this to get to later. That is my guess. And we'll see if that's true. And I think that is all. Yeah, that is all the cards that we're going through. But I really like the design of this. Obviously, it looks very pretty. It's interesting to see, like, they put the costs in the top left. Most card games I know put it in the top right. And then also, it's interesting to have, like, the stats lines in the middle and then just stuff in the end. But I do like I always like little, like, flavor text like this, and being able to, like, their attacks are also flavor text too. So I played a lot of Hearthstone, and so when they had like the flavor text when you go to the gallery, that's kind of cool. I like being like they just showed, like, here's like 7 completely different IPs that we own, and here's a card from each of them. Like, we are not afraid to do this. Also, Captain Hook's hook is like a sword, which I don't know if that's like current, because it's like the original Captain Hook look, but they don't give him a hook, they give him like this big wicked ass sword. So it's going to be interesting there. But I don't know, it looks like someone's putting a lot of effort into it. Disney rarely, you know, puts half effort into their stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see as this card evolves, as we see more from it, as we see rules, and as this kind of gets closer and closer to release. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think about these cards. Let me know what you predict a lot of this is going to be like, and that is going to be it for me. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.